Well, that was abrupt. All right, let's Hey, there we go. Hey, Mike.
Hey, man, you talk about an intro that could bring you out of a coma. How are you doing? Are we
Good, how are you? I'm ready.
All right, here we go. I'm so excited. Hi, everybody, and welcome to a room. I'm broadcasting from a lot of bouncing acoustics. Moving out of my house, you're gonna get a little bit of an echo here. Sounds a little bit like car. Go. And anyway, welcome to a gold-rushing, jaw-breaking, leather jacket gift-giving, whiskey nursing. Come on, Hangman, finish that drink. Episode of the Brothers of Discussion. We're going to talk everything from Forbes ranked. Is it CMOs, Matt? Chief Marketing Officer? I don't know.
You got it.
We're going to talk that. I'm going to learn what it is. We're going to talk Wednesday Night Wars, of course, and we're going to try and get some predictions here for another NXT Takeover. Matt, NXT Takeover 31. That's 31. Matt, it's another week. It's another spicy one. How are things in the Casa de Eddie? How's it going over there?
It's going good. Yeah, we're, I like to go for walks with Eddie, and it's been raining a lot, and it does make the days go. I love her to death, you know, but there's only so many times you can read the same book over and over and over before it starts to grain on you a little bit. That I don't know if you're familiar. That's what little, I don't want to say little girls, 1-year-olds, there we go, like to do, is you read a book. You know, there isn't too much content. There's not too much to grab from it. You don't learn a lot. But she wants to read it 1,000 times over and over and over. And it's beautiful that she loves to read, but any human, you know, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. Yeah, that's fair to say.
I mean, there was a time in my life where I would read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone at least once a year. So I think I know where most 1-year-olds are coming from. But before we get into it, Matt, let's tell the beautiful people where they can find everything.
They can find us at the brand new BODpodcast.com and brothersofdiscussion.com. You can always find us if you look in the upper left-hand corner at BOD Podcast on Twitter, and at brothers_of_discussion on Instagram. I have to give a shout out, Mike. We are brought to you now through StreamYard, thanks to our brother network, and who helps us host our hockey show on Mondays. The Hockey Podcast Network. That's why it's looking so pretty. And that's why we can highlight comments now where Mr. Brett Rodriguez wants to know if Addie's done her first chokeslam yet. No, but I might be guilty of a couple of wrestling moves on her. She's taken her first chokeslam. And she giggled her whole way through it. Like, it's one of those things where you play airplane with her, so when you give her a tombstone pile driver, she just thinks you're still playing airplane.
Well, Addie, she's, I don't know. She's not really a big man in the sport, man. She's more of a Ric Flair, a little dirtiest player in the game. So she's going for the eye gouge, maybe a mandible claw, probably one right in the nuts.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited for her to learn how much that feels like a nice massage. But glad your daughter is learning the business at a young age. Make sure you're giving her a lot of videotape to watch. That means you can watch more wrestling. When she comes over to my house, which is in the process of being moved into. It's going to be fun. I'm really excited to teach my niece the magic of a suplex. It's going to be great.
I'm very happy that Brett wants to know if we have a certified public accountant watching. And there he is. He corrected himself. It's a Child Protective Services. Hopefully they're not watching, but I will say into the camera, I don't go for the victory. I'm not pile driving my daughter so I can put her down for the 1, 2, 3. It's all fun and games.
This is an anti-spanking family. But if there's a tombstone pile driver to be had, we're not going to turn that down. Okay.
I feel like this is the thing. I hope everybody can give us some comments on how they feel about what this looks like. This just is too easy right now, and I don't know how to handle it. So, like, managing and producing this is just kind of working itself, and usually I'm like cycling through different things I need to click, and I do need to do that a little bit, but I just feel I feel like I left the house without my phone. You know, right now, what I mean? I don't know how to handle it. I don't know what to look at. I know I need to pull up my notes. That's probably what's going on. Yeah. I didn't have my notes up. I feel better now. All right, let's keep rolling. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, this is usually when you quietly panic, but instead you're verbally panicking for everyone to enjoy. Matt, I don't know. There's this is a weird week. I don't know if there's news. Things happened. I guess we kind of teased it in the opening. Matt, I know this is kind of your forte here. The daughter of our Lord and Savior, Vincent Kennedy, made a daughter named Stephanie McMahon. She kept his name. And Matt, apparently she made a list for Forbes. Does this wet your noodle over there? It sounds like might be a noodle wetter. She's listed as the second most influential. Now am I pronouncing this correctly? A CMO?
Yep. You did pronounce those letters correctly.
Okay. Well, a certified man opener.
Triple H can attest.
I guess she came in second place, Matt. And when I saw that she came in second, I was kind of curious who came out on top to see who was even in this list, who was the criteria. And I guess Stephanie McMahon came in second place to the CMO, the chief man opener of Apple, Phil Schiller.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. Okay, I got an Apple product right here.
I was in such a panic to get this ready. I'm so sad. I had my peanut butter whiskey, and I don't have it with me, and I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave.
Mine's at the new house. Yeah, mine's at the new house. Yeah.
I did want to ask you about that, but now we've been bantering too much. Look, Stephanie being on this list, I don't know what she's done. I don't know. I don't even know where to go from here. Has she really done? We're talking a certified marketing officer. Is that what it is? A CMO?
Isn't it chief?
Chief. Yeah. Yep, chief. I'm thinking of So it's our chief marketing officer. Like what?
I think you were thinking of your credentials from University of Phoenix, but yeah, go ahead.
Right. I think I'm all turned. I'm all twisted because of that the certified public accountant. But from a marketing perspective, I think it's fair to ask this question. I mean, I think they've done a lot for from a technology perspective. I think they've tried to do some new things in regards to what's going on from content wise. You don't really necessarily pat a marketing officer on the back for that. And she has been influential in what she does. I just don't know. You said it. I mean, Apple is number one. So from that end, you have a brand that people will, for the rest of their lives, be continuing to buy Apple phones. Because, for one, the way the marketing works for it, you had to get products from Apple that will ensure you'll never leave, even if you wanted to. But I don't know if the same can be said for a company that's struggling in, stock-wise and struggling to capture viewers, just lost a bunch of employees. And not that Apple doesn't do that, but I mean, they right now have the number one brand value that I just discussed in my article that I put out a week ago. That was how to watch wrestling and subtracting brand loyalty from that equation. So I wrote the exact article that would be the anti this happening.
Right.
So I talked about things like cognitive dissonance, and we talked about it last week too. So I talked about like cognitive dissonance and shared reality, kind of putting people in these bubbles where the fights between AEW and WWE start. But I don't think that they've done enough to like a large enough audience to say that she compares to what is going on in Apple. I guess maybe you could say she doesn't. Maybe you could say, well, she's number 2. Apple's number 1 by a landslide. But still, I mean, like, that's the whole idea, right? Like, don't we feel like, and people have shown that they're going to walk away from the WWE based on ratings and based on whatever's going on with the company, and it's also pro wrestling. I mean, Apple did so many things. Like, they created a thing in our mobile devices that we carry. And now, I mean, it's we can't live our lives without it. And the WWE took a thing that exists in pro wrestling, and for all intents and purposes, you'll hear people argue that they've ruined it. So, I guess some people say the same thing about phones and Apple, but I don't see how this happened. I think it's good for Stephanie. I'm having trouble making the connection on how someone gets ranked this high with what's going on with the company. It'd be different if they were like nailing it week after week and ratings were through the roof.
Yeah, well, I think it looks like their scoring criteria, and this is really getting away from wrestling. They used LinkedIn and sprinkler statistics. So they were kind of measuring the brand itself, how it fared in popularity in terms of getting the name out there. They looked at their their personal influence in social media, and then I guess the LinkedIn connections. So I could see where somebody in WWE would do that, just because every week they're always like, and guess what's trending globally right now? It's a table match. Hashtag table match. You don't want to miss hashtag table match. But Forbes, they gave a really bare bones. We don't really get to see how the scores factored in, but they gave a really bare bones description of what she does. And I think as far as her making the top of the list and seeing that the criteria is more than your brand, it's kind of also includes how you personally kind of got your web out there. And her being so visible for the company looks like it had a pretty big influence. But, they talk about her being at the forefront of women's equality in wrestling. Even though arguably it could be said that WWE was, one of the ones who kept women down for so long. And I guess she gets credit for speaking out about the pandemic, making the entertainment safe for fans and superstars. And she's trying to make moves for racial inequality on the female quotient, and put together a nice discussion series, Women in the Business of Sports. So I think that she does belong on this list. I think we're both just kind of surprised that, amongst all these other entities that she, made her way up there. The other goofs are like the guy who is part of Burger King, like BMW made the list. Lego, the rep for Lego made it. Adobe, Google was number 8. Microsoft was number 9 somehow. And then like some, nothing else that I don't think we really care about. Twitter's at 13. So number 2 to be WWE. I don't know if they're just trying to get like a classic Forbes clickbait article. Maybe that's what this is.
This is where my head's at, because people don't write articles about Mark Pritchard, the chief brand officer for Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble is going to be on the back of everything you buy. All the competitive brands of laundry detergent, they all compete under the umbrella of Procter & Gamble. So anytime you're like, oh man, fuck Arm & Hammer, I'm going with Tide, it doesn't matter. It's the same people are making money off you. But here's
it at number 10, by the way.
If he's number 2, he doesn't get a million different bloggers writing about him. I guarantee it. Like that's I was gonna ask you if you remember in Parks and Rec when Ron Swanson won an award it was a women's award, and it was because they just said we had to give it to a man because nobody cares if we just give it to a woman. So I think what they did here is they said, we have Stephanie McMahon, and we can actually get this huge boom, and people are actually going to look at our article because it's related to pro wrestling, and that is one of the most searched blog topics on Google. And it's a huge trend on social media every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday, and then when there's a Sunday night show. So I think what the Forbes guys are doing are capitalizing on a marketing plan. Because, again, for Procter & Gamble, I'll say, that, again, you don't really have a choice. They just own everything, and you don't get to hear about it. Microsoft, I guess you are choosing there. Google, nobody chooses between Google and anything else. Adobe pretty much owns everything in their space. I mean, and I don't mean own everything. I mean they're owning all of the brand battles in the Adobe space. Legos crushes anybody that's in. They're one of the top toys. Plus anything that's considered a building block toy. They're going to be. You can't compete with Lego. FCA, I guess, and then what's the next one is BMW. So, I mean, two of the top automobile brands, but they're not necessarily getting toppled anytime soon. And then you have Burger King on there, again, a very highly respected brand, and Apple. So, I just look at WWE and I go, well, another competitor came in last year, and they struggle to beat them on a weekly basis. So I guess from a performance of your product wise, it's a little, it doesn't make sense to me. But when I put the old Ron Swanson test on it, and you think she would get picked because there's going to be a million bloggers. Now we're talking about it on our podcast, and people are going to go to Forbes.com for the first time this year and see Stephanie McMahon's face on this list. I did tweet out, I wonder if Brian Alvarez is going to figure out what the page views were for this year's announcement compared to last year's and do a comparison. He's obviously the guy that likes to tweet out on a weekly basis what the ratings are on Wednesdays, but I'm ready to move on. I'm just going to be talking in circles now.
Yeah, let's do a little wrestling. As far as an online presence, I was really proud of Retribution this week. When they first debuted, Matt, and we found out their superstars were named Mace, T-Bar, and Jizz in Your Hand. Nobody was flocking to the WWE shop to buy T-shirts. But I think last week we said, you know what? Sometimes you just got to make that, turn that chicken shit into chicken salad and just double down. Don't give up. Just be a steamroller. Just keep going. Just be as ridiculous as you can. Don't worry about people making fun of you. Look at the New Day. There's not a better example. We're going to take 3 black guys and turn them into singing priests, and the New Day just said, just split that open and turn it into their own thing. Retribution, Matt, it looks like they may have heeded our advice because they definitely turned it around on everybody this week. Actually responding to Matthew of Botchamania, thanking him for his existence because he's done more to, quote, destroy the wrestling industry than we ever could. So keep it up. They reached out and thanked Eric Bischoff for destroying WCW. They're like, this is exactly what we want. Thank you for destroying a wrestling company. That's our goal too. And they've just been tearing apart people who make fun of their name.
Today was David Arquette.
Oh, who'd they get? What'd they say about David?
T-Bar today was getting some shit from David, so he said, why don't you come on over and I'll drop you faster than Courtney did. And I mean, that was just total mic drop. Real quick though, we got to shout out, Amy's here. Amy did admit she's a little behind on wrestling, but you know what? We'll tell you what happened. And then We got Lewis is here too. Hey, Lewis, how you doing? I'm. Is it Bartusik? You can just give us a thumbs up if it is. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. But how you doing, Lewis? We just had to do those quick shout outs there. I absolutely love what Retribution's doing. I think they're sometimes when you're trying to build your character and you have so little time to do it, and the WWE has already handpicked who's going to get all the TV time, you got to find some place to like own what you're doing. And I think Retribution has to be thanking their lucky stars that T-Bar is a part of this, or Dijakovic, because yeah, he's the guy that's just constantly. I said actually on Twitter, I said if you want to get famous this week, just go ahead and take a dump on T-Bar because he was unloading on everybody. It's beautiful to see. I think you and I are super huge Retribution fans after this, and I'm gonna be excited. I'm kind of sad that it looks like COVID's gonna keep them out for another week, but
yeah.
I guess we'll have to ask the CMO how putting wrestlers in this situation is working.
Well, just two more nuggets from T-Bar. I don't know who he hired. If he got like the Conan O'Brien writing staff to start writing his jokes this week, they've been great. These last two nuggets are not jokes. Just really like that they exemplified some of the silly names that we've come to accept and buy T-shirts of. And I can attest to that because I own a Harlem Heat T-shirt. But they said, hats off to Booker T and X-Pac, two other, T-Bar-esque names. So, maybe at some point we'll look at T-Bar and, give it the respect that we've given somebody like X-Pac. Well, maybe more than X-Pac. Maybe the respect we've given Booker T. How about that?
Can I ask? Did I throw you off because I just gave you full screen?
Yeah, I was backing up. I was like, it's getting close.
I'm playing with all the buttons right now. I think everybody who's watching online is probably ready to throw up.
Well, hey, speaking of playing with the buttons, Matt.
Hey-o!
An AEW video game being rumored. I think it's been rumored since they started the company back when it was still a T-shirt company and they didn't wrestle. But my question for you is, there's been so many iterations of the wrestling game for WWE that people are they're oversaturated with it. They're done. They stopped buying it. The WWE, frankly, just stopped updating the game.
Yeah.
So WWE's taken a year off. They're not releasing a game this year. Looks like they're going to double down on some mobile game or, some, low graphic, lo-fi, mash them up instead. So here's my question for you. This is a perfect time for AEW to drop a video game. WWE is off the market right now. There's no video game, with PlayStation 5 right around the corner. The new Xbox, whatever the hell that thing's called, is coming out. Matt, what detail, what fun little tweak, little quirk, if you will, do you think an AEW video game could include that we've yet to see in a WWE game?
That is a great question that hasn't been included in a WWE video game. I'm afraid to put myself out there because I haven't purchased a WWE video game and played. I don't know if you remember, but it was like 2 or 3 years ago. I bought it and we played it once and I never touched it again because it was. I mean, people hated that the last iteration of WWE was buggy and difficult. I thought even 2 years ago it was so. I thought it was bad then that I never touched it again after that one time. We did one Royal Rumble and I never did it again. But, I mean, to say something they've never done in a WWE video game, I know what I before you said had never done, what I wanted to say was I think they could just come in and do a nice, be a pro mode and knock that sucker out of the park, because if there were two things that I was addicted to in WWE video games, it was a well thought out, RPG element, and this was years ago, with a story that you could build up yourself. I don't know if you remember, I think it was No Mercy, but you had this giant tree of decision making that you could do running into different stories. Bringing something like that back, and you wouldn't have to show the decision tree like the WWE game did. I think they forgot that you could just do that behind the scenes and you'll be fine. But something like that, because like right now the other game that I get addicted to is the NHL video game, and they're finally coming out with like an RPG, be a pro kind of thing where you get to be a single player and build yourself up and make decisions. And that's obviously because your favorite game, Mike, the NBA 2K games have been doing it for years, and I've been so jealous for so long. And that's like, if I look at all the games that I play and finish and play over and over and over, I'm playing, The Witcher and Red Dead. I need some story. I need something. I can't. Yeah. And then, like, if I'm playing the hockey game, you know what I do? Like a psychopath? I lay in bed and I do, like, in my own bed. I'm laying in bed trying to fall asleep, and I do interviews and conversations as if I have a radio show that is devoted to that Red Wings, like, universe.
Yeah.
So I create my own story. I have full radio shows that revolve around trades and signing. So I need something from somewhere, and I can't do it with the wrestling games. So that's what I'm going to say.
I think you're right on the money with that idea. One of the things that WWE has not really gotten into, because they want to make sure that they're known as the place to be. It's just there's WWE and then there's everything else. So when you do like a career mode, you do NXT and then you're WWE. So I think what AEW should really try to do is see if they can get the rights to these guys who kind of have their open contracts. They go wrestle in Japan. Maybe they do a little Ring of Honor. They float around in the UK. They float around in Japan. They float around in Mexico, and then they come to AEW. I think it would be amazing for like a creator wrestler where you got to start out, winning like high school matches, and then you got to go into bingo halls. You got to get ripped off making. You spend $50 worth of gas and they pay you $20. And you got to try and level up your guy from a bingo hall boy to being on TNT. Wrestling Cody. For the AEW Television Championship. I think they could really go into that story mode. I got to think that a lot of those guys have some pretty amazing rags to riches stories. So that would be kind of a cool way to go. And then maybe, some of the match types are. I don't know if we want a Mimosa Mayhem match or a instead of the Royal Rumble, they have their their Blackjack 21, all jokers in Battle Royal, whatever the hell that
right.
is.
That's just a Battle Royal, right? It's just the rules will be a little bit different right at the end.
I think I hope they just selfishly for us, I think it would be nice if there's a real wrestling video game that we could be proud to own and play. And then they have some real opportunities. See if they can, do a creator wrestler thing.
Yeah, I think the last thing I'll say too is it doesn't hurt to just dumb it down a bit. Like I know at this point nobody can really get into the hockey video game. Like you've just been playing it for years, or you're just going to
read the manual. Yeah,
right.
You read the manual.
All right, and you've had to like upgrade yourself as the iterations move on, or you just fucking suck. And that's a terrible way to run a video game, which is kind of what happened, I think, with the WWE game I tried. So AEW, dumb it down for me, so I don't have to have been playing 2K for years before it just gets out of hand. Mike, let's do this. I'm gonna change our background. I don't think anybody's gonna be able to really see it, but I'm gonna put Roman and Oos down there. Mike Goldrush, Clash, whatever, Clash of Champions, takeaways. Mike, I tweeted out, and this is the best way for me to save myself. I said I wouldn't be upset at anybody who gave this an A+, which is the biggest chicken shit way for me to say I'm giving this an A+ because I thoroughly enjoyed it. But just in case, I can back off and say, well, I didn't actually give it an A+. I just said I wouldn't be mad at anybody else who did it, which is 1,000%. I still... I want to back off on that because there were matches that didn't happen that were supposed to happen that night, which could have made it an even better night. But I think ultimately that turned out the way it was supposed to anyway with Bayley and Sasha. But I think the ending to the night was everything I wanted, and I made the comment like if this is how it ends, the rest of the show could suck, and I'd give it an A. That's what I said. So they did everything I wanted, and they made Roman Reigns the fucking king of SmackDown. It was fantastic. That's all I like. When was the last time or maybe you've always been this excited? But I'm gonna put words in your mouth. Actually, yeah, hot tag, Mike. Has there been a time where you've been this excited for a Roman Reigns build up story? Because it's not just a single story with the Uso brothers. I mean, this is going to be a huge thing where he's turning heel. This could go on for years.
Yeah, I think in the past, the most you could say, as far as your excitement level for a Roman Reigns match, is that finally, at least Brock's not going to be the champion anymore. That was the one thing you could be like, well, at least after this pay-per-view, they're going to change the story up a little bit. But I think this has got to be one of the first times where I'm excited for Roman Reigns segments. I'm excited for his matches. Like I would prefer to see those at this time because it's such a it's not quite at the level of Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan joining the NWO. It's not quite at that level, but it's for this era. It's not that far off. As far as taking a guy who's a lifelong babyface, who's lifelong's a strong way to put it. In his solo run, he's exclusively been a babyface. To kind of see him have a little creative freedom, I don't think he's ever looked more comfortable. I think his promos have a bit of extra swagger. His expressions on his face. It's like he's just been waiting to be a heel his whole life, as a solo performer. And, as excellent as Drew McIntyre's been as a baby, I think Roman's really, been that excellent as a heel. And finally, Bayley has somebody to come and, knock her off the throne there for the best heel in the company because he's knocking it out. As far as the storyline with the Usos, this is a great way to really build them up. I don't know if there's whoever was in that writing room and pitched that. He wasn't going to get over as a heel by just running the gamut of the baby faces. For it to start with him betraying his own blood brothers is the strongest way to put that stamp down. This is a guy who's changing who he is.
Well, I'd have to throw out there too. I'm almost done. I'm in the middle of writing an article that I'm ranking these 4 champions we have right now, and I'm calling it a champions renaissance. I mean, this is one of the best WWE champions we've had in years. The Universal Champion in Roman just looks like this is going to be so great, and I'm putting in the article. I'm not going to be surprised if this does last for longer. Mike, this is their guy, and he's doing what they've always wanted him to do. It would be Roman, I think, that would end this. I think this is what they've always dreamed of, unless they just do the whole, well, he's a heel, he can't hold it forever. He absolutely could. But basically what the article's about is who's going to lose the title first, and I think people are going to be surprised what my opinion is on how that's going to roll out. But I highly recommend you guys check that out. That should be coming out later tomorrow. Should be able to finish that up as long as Eddie takes a long enough nap, and that'll be good.
Yeah, I'm gonna just put the last feather in the cap. With Roman, he always had that. At least he likes having a brewski with the Usos. They severed that tie. They also took his Kevlar off so we could see his terrifying abs that have been hiding dormant for years, Matt. He's been wearing a shirt, something we thought only Kevin Owens would do. And now, Roman's been freed. They freed the abs. So it kind of feels like every little nitpick that people used to have about him, they're just slowly taking it away. And they're just leaving this, muscly, mean, big dog out there to just win and kind of run this company. So it's exciting stuff.
Roman. Yeah, no, I mean, the jokes were out there too. Like, it does appear that his armor wasn't protecting anything but our own eyes from being able to focus on his matches. Because now, I don't know how you look at a Roman Reigns match and not just, like, the guy, I know we knew he was ripped, but goddamn, like, for what the WWE gets in trouble for always saying, like, this is what I need for my superstars. I mean, they kept a shirt on that guy for quite a while, and you know what? I mean, yeah, goddamn, sexy motherfucker. All right, Amy threw out there, I never thought I would be interested in Roman sans the Shield, but I'm interested and excited about heel Roman. I no longer refer to him as Roman Pains. I love it. I mean, it really, like, I just want to see him bring the pain now, and that's what we said last week, and I'm so happy he's taken his Usos to town. Stephanie, I just want to highlight your comment here. He said, "Hey, what about SmackDown?" I hope this is revolving around that. I just wanted you to know that we did see your comment. But this is where my head's at for SmackDown Wrestling. I think it's going to go through the roof. I think they already showed that the ratings are actually going up, so people want to see heel Roman. And I think this is one of those things where it's going to, I don't know if I want to say transcend, but I mean, it's what both sides of the room want. They want to see Roman Reigns on their TV. And for us, I'm going to put myself in the pool of hardcore wrestlers. We've always wanted to see this guy be heel. So I think for SmackDown, it really is going to become the premier show, and I think Roman put it best where he said, on Raw they're serving hamburgers, and on SmackDown I'm serving filet. So I do like the brand fighting that goes down. I think it's good that Roman's starting that as we head into Survivor Series season. But yeah, I mean, he was the star of that show. He's the thing that made that an A+ for me. I just. Oh, yeah, I don't think I can get enough of Roman or Drew or Asuka or Bayley, and I didn't even state it as my Champions Renaissance is going right now. Four of the best.
Yeah, as far as, I'm glad you touched on Bayley too. She got to gloat, be evil again this past Sunday, and then I gotta say, sometime when she thought she just got not have an opponent at Clash, and then Asuka comes running out. That actually, I'm gonna be honest, that did surprise me. Maybe she. Oh my god! I wanted that drop to work so well, but it just sounds like Vicky Guerrero. But as far as SmackDown, Stephanie, I mean, yeah, you got Roman doing excellent work, Bayley doing excellent work. Bray Wyatt, of course, whenever he floats back in, doing excellent work. Alexa Bliss turning into this Harley Quinn character who just kind of emulates, adores, and has this weird fascination with the Fiend. Just another storyline I'm really into. And who knows? Maybe Otis will cash in one day.
Whew. Well, that's a great time, Mike, for us to transition into the Wednesday Night Wars. Yeah. Oh, boy. I mean, poor Otis. But let's jump in, as we like to do on a weekly basis, Mike. The guy who wrote an article about removing brand loyalty from your pro wrestling. We're going to do the Wednesday Night Wars of a battle between NXT and AEW. No, you know what I did? I justified it to myself. I said we could still do this after I wrote that article because we're highlighting just how great both of these shows are and that you should be watching both. I think it help. We do step outside of the bounds of this being strictly a WWE show, an AEW show, or just blindly siding with one or another just because it's our favorite, even though I think if somebody chalked up who's winning and losing, or who we think is winning and losing, it probably keeps skewing one way or the other, depending on which show we're watching first. Anyways, Mike, NXT was a pretty good show. I don't know how you feel about AEW, but I know NXT is just gearing up for Takeover 31, which might be why I'm going to say it was just a pretty good show.
Yeah, I saw the card coming together, and I had a feeling AEW is going to take it this week. This was definitely another episode of I know they're supposed to be the wrestling program, but every week we come to the same conclusion that AEW Dynamite is the sports entertainment program, and it did it once again. I mean, whether or not it was Eddie Kingston coming out and berating a referee, it was our beloved Miro rubbing elbows with Billy Mitchell. My God. The world record holder for Donkey Kong and Pac-Man, I think. Miro just ran into him at an arcade. Yeah, and then there was just fun galore with MJF trying to tease at a union with the Inner Circle, and there was wrestling matches in between too. So it sounds like AEW took the crown for entertainment value, but that's why we do the list every week. Matt, based on your enthusiasm for this week's episode, I'm going to say you get moment number 3 first from NXT.
Okay, cool. I do think there are some easy things to pick out here. Or you know what? I'm going to do this because I know Lewis. I told you that we talk about it in a minute. My number 3, and Lewis was asking. He loves what Ridge Holland is doing. I love what Cameron Grimes is doing, and I think we spoke a couple weeks ago about Ridge when he almost killed Johnny Gargano. The guy belongs already. Like he's got the look, and he's got that power. He's got the aggressive style, and he just kicked the shit out of Cameron Grimes to the point that the ref ended the match. So I'm gonna make that my number 3, and I think what we got to we saw out of Cameron Grimes what pulled out of me the tweet that I think that he could be as good as MJF or The Miz. And I know that's blasphemy for pro wrestling fans because those guys might be considered a couple of untouchables in regards to like snarky heels, like dirty little rat shithole heels kind of thing. It's always hard to define like what kind of heel somebody is because obviously Roman is going to be very different from what Cameron Grimes brings to the table. But I really think if they give him the time and they really let him develop that character, I think we'd be believing in Cameron Grimes too. The only thing is that MJF and The Miz have both had like this sort of elitist sort of thing behind them, and Cameron would have to get over being like this Southern rocker, which you could still say if he thinks he's the Southern rocker, maybe he thinks he's better than everybody because he's leading a fake band in his mind, but that I think that's the hurdle to get over because it does. Everybody kind of hates like that super rich or the famous person that thinks they're better than everybody, and Cameron's character just it's almost like it's so goofy and fun, like he won't be able to get that same heat because it's just too unbelievable that he would that he is better than us, you know what I mean? Where MJF, what you look at him,
what if Pee Wee Herman only listened to Leonard Skinner?
Right. So that's my number 3. And again, Lewis, I totally agree with you. And having Ridge Holland end that match, or having the match ended because he was just ripping the crap out of Cameron Grimes. I mean, it does a great job of defining these characters even further. I think for both, because Cameron's only ever going to win a match if he's being the sneaky heel.
Yeah, and he's excellent at it. So as we do every week, Matt, top 3 moments of each show, and then there's also a dishonorable mention right before number 1. So can't remember if we said that for our newer listeners, but moment number 3 from All Elite Wrestling, Matt. It was old Cody, Don't Call Me Rhodes, pulling the switcheroo on us. I don't know if you had a moment to watch this promo, but as you know, he was gone for a while, and then he stole Creed Bratton's hairdo last week and emptied out the AEW printers of all their ink so we could have some new dark hair. And he was gone for a while because he got beat up by Brody Lee, and he was ashamed. Oh, he lost in like 3 minutes. And now he's on TV with Rosario Dawson. And now he came back, cut a promo, Matt, and you know what he did? Brody Lee asked, why don't you be in a dog collar match with me? We're going to dog collar each other, which sounds about as erotic as a slapjack, if I may. Cody come out, and he cut a promo. I don't know where Dusty came from. But Cody comes out, cuts a promo about this dog collar match. And you know what he said? He said no. And what I thought when he said no is that they were just going to dim the house lights and go to commercial. But he pulled a switcheroo on us, and he said, no way am I not doing it. I'm going to come out and beat up Brody Lee. And everyone's like, woo. But he pulled a fun switcheroo. It turned into a massive WCW, like what's now becoming an AEW-esque schmaz, where all sorts of people were coming out. There was Evil Unos, there was Evil Doses, Mrs. Rhodes came out. All sorts of people were jumping at each other. They split Brody Lee and Cody apart not once, not twice, but thrice, just to get us all psyched up for their big match coming up. Where they're gonna roll them again. A couple of Rams gonna butt heads, which is what Taz said. They're gonna butt heads like a couple of Rams. Like, yeah, we've heard that cliche for like 40 years, man. We know that one. But yeah, it's just the enthusiasm level that sells shenanigans like that. So Cody and Brody, I'm excited for it. Cody just saying no. Why am I missing it? So
did you see Lewis's comment here?
Oh shoot! I clicked away.
He's just saying that Cody looks like that guy from Lazy Town. He's got like the plastic hair and the. I don't know if you've ever seen Lazy Town. I know of it because everybody kind of had that same thought pop in their head where I've seen that guy before, and then you saw it on Twitter. It blew up. Lewis, you freaking nailed it on this.
Oh, no.
Are you looking it up?
Yeah, the guy who played him died. Oh,
Jesus. Well, come on, Lewis. Why'd you bring the show down? No, I'm just kidding, man.
Stefan Carl Stephenson. He was 43, and he played Robbie Rotten in the Nick Jr. series from 2002 to 2014.
Well, it's my turn to jump back into NXT. I almost played it was going to be too mean. I almost did a Bailey.
The reason that we had to share bad news with Lewis, and I'm sorry, Lewis, I clicked because, when you Google something, there's like the most commonly asked questions. And question number 1 was, what happened to the guy from Lazy Town? So I wanted to click it and be like, well, he's currently running a wrestling promotion on TNT. So anyway, Matt, moment number 2 for NXT.
Well, I do have an answer, but I absolutely have to I'm going to back up on the comments we have here on the show. We got to throw in Andre. Andre, I'm glad you're watching. He's glad to see Dexter Lumis back on NXT. He's his favorite creepy weirdo. And he's also a decent performer. I think Dexter's unintentionally hilarious. And then Lewis showing the love for Dexter. Amy showing the love for Dexter. Mike,
hell yeah.
I absolutely adore Dexter Lumis. I think I couldn't have been more devastated when the injury took him out of what looked like was going to be a great spot for him to really start taking over on the show. And I think now everything's just been put on hold before he can get back up there, because I think they do see, like, this guy's legit. This guy can own multiple segments on every show, and I think that's what you're looking for. And with Andre's point, it is fantastic for him to actually go into this realm of being like that goofball where he's the guy's making his own shirts based on what he's drawing, but then he incorporates that into the show too. And it's just something that gives it, it is, depending on how they use those pictures, like when they used it to kind of scare Undisputed Era, it goes creepy. When he's doing it just to have fun, it's goofy. The guy has so many, like, he's got a wide range. He is fantastic in the ring. His style in the ring is it's so unique. Like we talked about, it's him doing like those slow plotting moves. followed by just these powerful strikes. And you don't see that too often. I think, and especially in NXT, where we always say, we're talking Wednesday Night Wars. AEW is the sports entertainment, and NXT ends up being pro wrestling. What you get is a lot of the same styles over and over, and that repetitive nature of every match does grate on you a little bit. But it is something where NXT has defined themselves to provide that style of pro wrestling, so you can't really blame them for it. But when Dexter Lumis comes in and his style is so completely different from everybody else, he does super stand out. Even if he is already standing out because of his hairdo and the creepiness and the mustache. So it's just all that mixed together. You've got a superstar. So great point there, Andre. I'm gonna say that, and then I'm gonna throw it over to Mike because that was way too much gushing for me to also pick a number 2.
No, it's just funny you said that because there's a few instances on AEW where if I have to see one more super kick or top rope suicida or a cutter, I'm going to lose my mind. Like, none of those moves can possibly hurt anymore. It's everybody uses like the same 3-4 things. And part of Loomis's appeal is he does break up the wrestling monotony a little bit. So thank you, Dexter. And whoever had the brilliant idea for his music to sound a little bit like Stranger Things and for him to have a Dexter like dark passenger, at his side. Little chef's kiss for that. Man, my moment number 2, though. Hot diggity dog. As much as I love Orange Cassidy and him calling FTR weenies, I gotta say, one of my favorite matches was Jericho versus the other Cassidy on the program, Isaiah Cassidy. He's part of Private Party. He doesn't quite get as much fanfare, and they're just trying to give him the rub by being in the ring with Jericho, and he definitely outshined 50-year-old Jericho, understandably, since Isaiah is like 27 years his junior. So, it's 27 more, years worth of tread on those tires. But Jericho definitely set him up to look excellent. They had dueling lion salts where Jericho attempted it, crashed and burned. And then Isaiah, seizing the opportunity, did a lion salt of his own, hit it. Jericho got up, and then Isaiah gave Jericho a code breaker. So it's kind of cool to see that back to back. The match ended up, going in Jericho's favor because, he's the big money guy and propelled some other storylines
right
on the peripheral. But I think it was a pretty cool showcase for Isaiah. And at least when he did the Judas effect, it was a little bit like that famous Shelton Benjamin, Shawn Michaels super kick because we got to see Isaiah Cassidy flying through the air and eating a Judas effect. So not quite as athletic as a Sweet Chin Music, but still, it was a pretty cool visual. So, bravo to Isaiah. For me, he's not going to be the other Cassidy anymore. He's going to be Isaiah Cassidy. But Matt, that means we're already at the dishonorable mention for NXT.
And my dishonorable mention is maybe going to go to Kushida and Tony Nese, only because this is one of those where if I saw it like on the match card before the show started, I would have thought that this was going to be something to really show off Tony Nese and give him an opportunity. But we're looking at Kushida, who's really been tearing it up, and they're just propelling that storyline that he's going to kick the shit out of Velveteen Dream. Perfect. I want him to kick the shit out of Velveteen Dream. It just was a poor spot for Tony Nese to get involved in the middle because really he was taking the hits. Before I throw in my number 1, Mike, we have a hot tag from Lewis, and this is a quick yes for me. But do you think Loomis is a future world champ? I think absolutely.
I don't, because I don't think that matters to him. I think that he would prefer to be more like Bray Wyatt.
I can see that, but I just think that they were moving him in that direction. I saw him moving in that direction in NXT, so I'm gonna stick with my yeah.
Well, I just want to be sure I get out there that it's not that I don't think that he's a talented guy, that we could see in main event matches, but I think that creatively he's beyond needing, a shiny rock, like a bird in the forest to build his nest. I think that he can already build his own nest out of, I don't know, blood and cigarette butts and, mustache hairs. Yeah. And old old T-shirt designs that he wasn't fond of. So I think he can build his own bird nest. He doesn't need the shiny rock, and I think I'm going to start using that from now on because I'm pretty proud of that metaphor. But go ahead, Matt.
So I'll throw in there. What I was going to pick as my number 2 is Adam Cole versus Austin Theory, but mostly because it ends with a promo for Kyle O'Reilly from Adam Cole. But my number 1 was easily Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor face to face in the ring, where this was one of the first times we got to see Kyle show some emotion and develop a character that wasn't just being a member of Undisputed Era, where he was just confident and cocky, and it was great. And I think what they've done at this point, because these promo packages have been so good, they've developed a face for the Undisputed Era, a baby face, and a legit threat to Finn Balor's title. I think both of those things are fantastic accomplishments, but you have to remember, too, that Finn Balor got the title as sort of like a mad scramble, so Kyle getting this opportunity probably isn't them saying it's Kyle's shot. I think it's more or less just let's give him a fresh title feud that we haven't seen before. And unfortunately, what that means is Kyle's going to turn in an A+. I think for the first time, for the first time since Clash of Champions, the main event title match will be the best match on the card, because that match is going to kill it. I think Finn is going to be in his element. Kyle will finally get to show off from a singles point of view, why there's so many wrestlers stepping up and saying this guy's the best in the biz. This is long overdue, and he's going to want to prove it too. So everything about this promo, though, just got me more hyped, and I really liked how they set it up too. So I'm all for it, and let's.
Yeah, I'm ready to do AEW. I was just gonna say, I really like. Kyle is such a breath of fresh air, for the main event scene. And I'm saying that because when I think about Finn Balor being the NXT champion, it really makes me want to yawn. They have diluted him so much. I as soon as I see that sling blade and then the drop kick into the corner, setting up the coup de grace, it's almost as bad as every time when somebody fights Rey Mysterio and things a wrestler's never done before. They just start hanging their neck over the second rope. You've never done that. Who wrestles like that? Wrestle on the ground. Wrestle like CM Punk in the 2013 Royal Rumble. Just lay on the side. Why would you do that in a Rey match? You've never done it. But people will fight Finn Balor and, put their back to the turnbuckle and take a bump off the back and then tumble forward and put their little tummies out to get coup de grace. I can't get into those matches. So I just bring that just as a counterexample to Kyle, because he's just out there trying to break your limbs, and he's just trying to break them whether you're in the middle of the ring, the side of the ring, underneath the ring, above the ring, the left side, right side, front side. There's no safe place. So you can't, for me as an audience member, I don't know where his violence is going to come from. So I'm really excited to see something new, see Kyle in there. So bravo. But yeah, my dishonorable mention is FTR. They started a new thing, a little bit like the John Cena Open Challenge, a little bit like Cody was doing with the TNT television title. They started doing a brush with greatness. So every week they're going to have a 20-minute tag team championship match, or periodically, and they just put up a clunker versus SCU. And, it happens to the best of us. Even Stone Cold would come out and say, we were sucking ass out there. But the thing that bothers me is that it's not just, everybody has a bad match. It's
right.
FTR is just going to come out and, profess the need for old school tag team wrestling, with this is how it's supposed to be. No more flips, just kicks. And I don't know if it's the AEW tag team match style influence, but there was 2 different instances where there were dueling double team moves, and 2 illegal men were making pinfalls, and the ref was counting both of them because everybody was getting pinned. And what a moment! And it's like, no, 2 of those don't even count. It's not like those moments where it's like the cool submission thing, and you're holding your best friend's hand so he doesn't, break. They're both eating pins, and only one of the 50% of the guys are supposed to be holding out of the. I don't know. And then there was a couple times that they're supposed to be known for their in-ring smarts and IQ and ring acumen, and then they were Three Stooges, Winnie the Poohing out of the ring, and I don't know. The whole illusion was just lost. It was a stupid idea from bad trade. See, Jericho knows. But I'll just say that the top match was the first match of the night for me. Darby Allin fighting Ricky Starks. We always joke that our favorite match is Stone Cold, calm, good, and nice. I don't know why those are his favorite adjectives. Yeah, it really seemed like they had a violent, venom for each other. There was real anger between each other. And as far as changing up the match, move set diversity, showing off the whole repertoire, having a little creativity in the ring. Darby and Ricky really, pulled out all the stops. I'd say the only kind of clunky part is excellent as Taz was on commentary. Because Excalibur kept trying to goad Taz, hey, I remember you were trying to get him to join your little group over there, weren't you? He's like, yeah, you're not kidding there, Excalibur. I tried that multiple times, but he spat in my face. I know he's got a heck of a talent, but I'm hoping that he loses because he didn't want to join my friends. So it was Taz was still being respectful of the skill and admitting, I want to take you under my wing and elevate you. But then he was still trying to, support his own faction. So all that stuff was really cool. Little nods to their, storytelling, referencing things that happened weeks ago. And then JR had to talk. Well, this is a real good match here between 2 young guys. One's 27, which, they employ a lot of 21 and 22-year-olds. So for him to call Darby Allin one of the youngest guys in the roster was, a little different. And then he also included Ricky Starks, and then he admitted that he is not sure why he included that because Ricky's 31. Later, come to find out, Ricky Starks is 21. So JR was literally all over the map, except where he needed to be. So maybe more Taz, less JR in the future. So
it's always a good rule of thumb, I think, with commentary.
So yeah, I think we got a few minutes here. You want to just do the Takeover 31 card?
Yeah, let's jump in there. I'm gonna change our background real quick.
Let's do
this behind the camera here, and boop. All right, yeah, we got our new background. How's that fun? All right, Mike. First on the card, Damian Priest versus Johnny Gargano for the NXT North American Championship. This is the build for Damian Priest to get his signature victory. I didn't include it in my top 3 in the Wednesday Night Wars, the mixed tag match, but this is obviously all of this is just to build up the believability that Johnny Gargano can win, or maybe Candice can beat Io. But Damian Priest needs a signature victory, or he needs to keep building on the signature victories that he's had so he becomes a more believable North American champion. So that is him going against former North American champions, and that is most certainly him taking down Johnny Gargano. Mike, your thoughts?
We never really understood the adoration that WWE, the company, had for Roman Reigns when he first went solo, and they just kept pushing him. Now in NXT, we have Damian Priest, and I still don't quite get it. He still kind of has these oddball promos where he's still kind of objectifying women.
I don't know what his deal. I don't know what the hell his character is.
I don't know if somebody's in his ear telling him to say things. I wish they'd get out of his ear. If that's his own volition, I wish he'd shut up and maybe find something else to talk about.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see him objectifying the female interviewers. I don't want to see him in hot tubs with women. I get that he has a pretty cool intro, but I don't know if he's cool.
None of that lines up with what he says. Like he comes out and he's really got that. That's an awesome way to do your visuals, is to have the the bow and arrow, and he does it during the matches, he does it after victories, and then he gets behind the curtain, and it's a 180. I almost said a 360. He just stands in one place and he's the same person. Anyway, he does a 180, and he's a goofball, and like you said, he's kind of sexist. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's gonna win. There's no doubt about that. Because they're pushing him for some reason, and it's for somebody. It's not for us. We talk about it all the time that wrestling's a circus, and this is a tent that you and I are. I don't need to go into that tent. I'm good to go. I will move on. I will go watch maybe the next match. Let's do Kushida versus Velveteen Dream. Can I just say that it's just a singles match. It's just an emotional feud. As much as the Usos were an excellent prop to help get Roman over as a heel, Velveteen Dream is an excellent prop to get whoever he's fighting over as a mega babyface. So Kushida is about to start selling T-shirts with little baby bonnets, because he's about to be the Back to the Future mega god that I think they always wanted him to be. I don't know who's rooting for Velveteen Dream. Realistically, or even sarcastically, I think all they want is go away heat. That's what's going on with this match. Thank goodness there's no audience. I think he would literally just get middle fingers and probably things thrown at him, because we still haven't quite figured out what's going on with this whole situation behind the curtain in real life. Nobody's given us any answers, and all we see is that he's back on our TV, eating up opportunities.
I wish that the American people would be this angry at our president for certain things that he's said and done.
Yeah.
I'm not giving don't get me wrong. I am not saying with Velveteen Dream he's an evil, if what is accused is true, fuck that guy, get him off my TV. But the pro wrestling fans will not forgive Velveteen Dream. I just ask that you do the same thing for our president. The next time he says something stupid or dumb, remember it. Remember that in his... I'm going to do this, Mike. I'm sorry. Remember that in his debate, he joked to Joe Biden that he's fine putting his followers in danger of COVID. And nobody... his followers don't care. They're fine with it. They're like, that's fine. Or you just misinterpreted it. Let's be the same anger that we put at Velveteen Dream. Let's put it towards our election. All right. Kushida's winning this. Velveteen Dream, I think they're going to keep using him as a tool to keep getting guys over. Which, the thing is, I don't want him on my TV until we get answers. And whatever the answers, it's still... nothing's for sure, and I know I can get myself in trouble here. We don't actually know what happened, but not addressing it is the wrong thing to do, and I want him off my TV until it's addressed. That's what I'm going to say. So,
Lucas, I have a hot tag for you when you're ready.
Oh shoot! All right, let me scramble here. Let me get my video. All right, Mike. What did you say? Did you say you had a hot tag?
All right, so they're gonna use this Velveteen Dream go away heat on Kushida, which he doesn't really wet my noodle. Matt, I'm gonna hot tag you. If you could pick one babyface that could use this Velveteen Dream go away heat to really get rolling, really get strapped in, fitted in for that beautiful rocket to the moon. just handfuls of brass rings in both sides, like Sonic the Hedgehog at the bonus level. Matt, I'm going to let you pick one babyface to gobble up all that yummy, yummy go-away heat and be our triumphant hero for justice. I can see you pondering over there. I can see you, the little hamster is pulling out some schematics, and I think I'm going
to call back from earlier in the show. I think it would be pretty easy to go with Dexter Lumis when he makes his return. Yeah?
Does Dexter Lumis need Velveteen Dream? I think he's already the people's champ.
All right. I mean, it could be who's ever driving a motorcycle around town.
Yeah. I think that as lukewarm as I've become on Finn Balor, if Finn Balor turned babyface all of a sudden, and then he was fighting.
That's why I didn't pick Finn, because we know what's going on there.
Yeah. Maybe my beloved Otis. Maybe that's when we could do a Velveteen call-up, just to get Otis over as the briefcase champion.
God, could you imagine if they called him up? Just to get Otis over, but could you imagine the reaction where...
I imagine it all the time. It's not hypothetical for me, man. It's not rhetorical for me.
No, I'm saying, could you imagine the fan reaction if Velveteen got called up?
Oh, yeah, Otis conquering him?
Well, yeah, that, but before we knew that was happening, Jesus.
All right, how about this? What WWE would do if they're going to fire Velveteen Dream, you know what they would do? You ready for this? They would call him up to Monday Night Raw. He would show up at the 8 o'clock hour, and one man would challenge him to fight him at the 10 o'clock hour. It would be Shane McMahon and Raw Underground versus Velveteen Dream. Throwing marshmallow punches left and right.
So we're back to the championship matches. We've got Santos Escobar and Isaiah Swerve Scott. They actually had a pretty fun promo. It wasn't the best thing I've ever seen, but for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship, I would say for as little time as it gets and as little time as promos have been allowed for this title in the past, I do just love every second we get with Santos. So I think this is ultimately just, this is not a big moment for this title. I think this is just Santos Escobar continuing to hold his title. I think Swerve is getting something to do. This sounds so bad the way I'm describing it right now, but ultimately, if I'm picking a winner, I'm going Escobar.
Let me hot tag you one more on this one.
You wanted to what? You wanted to hot tag! Go for it.
All right, so it's the Cruiserweight Championship, right?
It is.
And what that should mean is that these are just two guys who are not heavyweights. Instead, what it usually means is it's some sort of high-flying spectacular. Matt, hot tag, would you rather see these two guys have a high-flying spectacular or just a hard-hitting, stiff championship match? Matt, your thoughts?
I think it's the Cruiserweight title. It should be a high-flying spectacular. Right, it's the same idea where I said you've got like this style of wrestling that pops up on NXT a lot. That's the reason why Dexter Lumis is so much fun, because he breaks that style. But if you're doing the Cruiserweight title, I think it's okay to stick within the brand of what the Cruiserweight wrestling is, right? And these guys can both do it, so are we really, aren't we watching Roman Reigns kick the shit out of the Usos? Because that's where we want to see that hard-hitting style.
All right, what's the over-under on Top Rope Suicidas for that match?
16.
No, realistically. I'm going to say
1.
4.
1.
1?
Realistically, wow. They don't just do the same move over and over and over. I'm saying 1 tapas.
It's going to be 1
Spanish
3,
tapas.
4. So 4. I think 4 is the line, because there's going to be like 2 botches, not botches, but it didn't quite connect, and then they'll connect later. So I'm going to say 4.
I hate that I just had my JR moment. Tapas, Mexican tapas with refried beans. So next on the list, where are we? We just have the championships. All right, Io versus Candice. I actually already gave away how I feel about this. I don't think this is the moment that Candice becomes, the new Candice LeRae, the champion. It could be. I just unless it's something like they want to start building up EO being on the main roster, but I don't see that. I think they want to hold on, have EO hold the championship so they can do a triple threat between Asuka, EO, and Bayley or Sasha, because that's gonna, man, oh man, is that gonna be fucking amazing. But I think ultimately that's what they're looking to do. If they have balls, they'll give it to Candice. They'll let Candice stand out at Survivor Series, and now they'll have a whole nother superstar to carry the NXT brand. But I think ultimately they're first things first, Mike. We live in a short-term world in pro wrestling, and we can we could build up to something we've always wanted. I shouldn't say we've always wanted, but this is something hardcore wrestling fans want. Casual fans for women's wrestling would be Sasha getting involved with Asuka and Io, and Asuka and Io getting involved with each other. It all just works out. It's perfect. So Io's holding on to that title.
Yeah, I think the only way Candice wins is if they want to double down on the on NXT. If they want to double down on the power couple thing and have the power couple actually have some power with some championship gold. But I think you're right with Survivor Series right around the corner. There's not really a match we want to see more.
You can't fuck this up.
Yeah, we had Shayna versus Becky Lynch, which I know we were all really excited about last year. And now if we can in some way incorporate Io, Asuka, and fill in the blank, we're going to be in for a real treat. So giving the belt to Candice kind of ruins that. I'm going with Io.
We absolutely need a Tim Robinson. What? Like, remember when he was doing the nachos and his girlfriend figured out that he had asked the waiter to come to the table and tell his date not to eat all the good nachos? Like, one person can't have all the good nachos. So then when she's...
I really vaguely remember that one.
She's revealing that, so then Tim Robinson is just like, what? We need that one. I'm gonna get that for next week. We're gonna stockpile our shut up, Chris. All right, last match. It's Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly. Mike, Kyle's taking this hands down. There's no way he's leaving NXT Takeover 31 without some gold. Just kidding. It's Finn Balor. Sorry, Kyle. This is going to be a great match. This will be one of those. I can confidently say this will be a match of the year candidate. Or you know what? That is getting pretty loaded with Fiend matches. But I'm still going to say I'm pretty confident this will be a match of the year candidate.
I really am excited to see Kyle O'Reilly fight for like 30 minutes without having to tag somebody in. He's so good at his job. I love his match style. Nobody else does that. He literally sits on his butt and just like kicks and pulls on you, almost like a little crab going down the beach. And Finn Balor's like a seagull daring to get in the way of the fish that the little crab is trying to eat. And I can't wait to see it go down. Crab versus gull. That's what this match boils down to. It's going to be lengthy. It's going to feel like it went, by in a breeze. But I don't think they're getting ready to push Kyle, like in that regard where he gets to be the champion of the company. But he's going to be able to, get himself over by having a good match. So, Matt, the only little nugget that I want to share with you before I know we got to get going here is I saw a rumor. I feel like I'm doing some Umbrella Academy here. I heard a rumor that Cam and Adam Cole might go babyface and Roddy and the Fish might go heel.
Oh, stay heel.
I mean, they
really
would turn
cool.
heel against each other, I guess.
That would be pretty cool. That gives them something new to do. And Undisputed Era is something that you kind of were hoping would never end. But then again, like, great pro wrestling doesn't happen when we just keep getting the same thing over and over, right? So I don't think it's about what the fans want all the time. I think it is about changing it up, and sometimes you got to take that risk. So I do like that. Mike, you know what it wouldn't be?
What's that?
All right, Mike. Bailey's got one more message for us, and we're ready to head out. Wrap this sucker up. If you could, everybody, please subscribe, rate, and review. Subscribe on YouTube. If we could get some reviews on Apple Podcasts, that's the thing that helps out this podcast the most. We really hope you guys will check it out. I do have to give a quick shout out if you are a hockey fan. I did interview the man behind bringing European hockey, one of the men that brought European hockey over to North America. Keith Gave. It was a hell of an interview. You can find that on our YouTube channel. You can also find it at BOD Hockey. And again, another shout out to the Hockey Podcast Network for letting us use beautiful tools you see in front of you. Everything that's up here now is because they let us use that setup. So if you are a hockey fan, check out HockeyPodNet at HockeyPodNet. And last go for us is at BOD Podcast for our Twitter and at brothers_of_discussion on Instagram. Mike, I will. I'll see you later. We're gonna. What's the next thing we do? All right, we record on Sundays.
We'll be there for all the live action.
That's right.
For the big takeover.
Time to sail off into the sunset.
Oh man, we almost went away. Who's gonna come back at NXT?
Oh my God! Yeah, that's right. I think the more I watch that video, that is a female superstar. I think it's Ember Moon.
I had Samoa Joe. That is way more interesting, Ember Moon. I had a huge wrestling crush on her. I don't
think Samoa Joe can fit his thighs into the body that was riding that motorcycle. Samoa Joe's going to lose a lot of weight to make that work. I'm just guessing that I mean, it could be something completely different where like some sexy lady's going to come roaring in on that motorcycle and then they're going to say, introducing blah, blah, blah. Because I did tweet out, even though that does look like a woman, I was like, wow, Nakamura looks super sexy on that motorcycle. Which I also think would be cool, but I think we are seeing Ember Moon kind of get the reset.
By the way, if you missed the pre-show for the Gold Rush Clash of Champions, Shinsuke did sing a little Simon and Garfunkel. Hello, darkness, my old friend. So... just staying with the sexy theme there. I loved Ember. I hope she could come back. But I got to say with Samoa Joe before we go, when something goes well for me, like just personally in my life now, I just think of Samoa Joe commentary when he goes, beautiful.
Oh, we got to get that one going too.
Yeah, I love that one. All right, let's get out of here. All
right, everybody, have a good one.